Big night in Las Vegas.
Ravens and Raiders, definitely one of the best games of the week. And week 2 starts Thursday with Giants and Washington. It's Top 5 Tuesday with the best of this rivalry.
Yes, coming from our 3-time Super Bowl champion, Willie McGinnis, I'm MJ Acosta-Ruiz. This is your NFL headquarters. TA from LA starts right now. All right, week 1 officially in the books. And Willie, my goodness, what a week it was.
Yes, it was.
Still recovering, but we'll get there. Michael Robinson will be with us shortly. But we need to take a look back at last night before we can even look ahead to week 2.
4 quarters are not enough to decide it. 3rd and 4, throwing that way, and it is Edwards. Touchdown! Got it! And that's the ball game.
The ball is going to be short of the goal line. 4-man rush. It's out. He hits Carr. The ball bounces.
Oh, yes!
It's intercepted in the end zone.
Oh, my goodness.
And the Ravens have a life in Vegas.
Jackson trying to get out, can't do it. He's taken down, and it's out. And the Raiders have recovered it. Carl Nassib had the hit, and the Raiders are back in business.
Blitz is picked up. Jones is open. Jackpot, baby. Vegas touchdown. This time, no doubt. Put it in the W column, baby. This one's over.
The great thing about winning on a Monday night is you can keep it going, right? Raiders posting this on Twitter earlier, making Victory Tuesday a thing. Derek Carr giving Lamar Jackson his flowers after that hard-fought game last night. And it was a double celebration for Darren Waller, who celebrated his 29th birthday. Here's head coach John Gruden on the birthday boy.
He's the best player I've ever coached, so I'm going to continue to look for him. And he's a hell of a player. He deserves some good looks. We were down 14-0 to the Ravens, and it didn't look pretty, it didn't look good. But when you can come back and find a way to win against a team like that, that's saying something. That's an impressive victory. And like they say here, just win, baby.
Can you recall anything like this?
No, I felt like I died and woke up and died again, and I was like a cat. I had multiple lives tonight.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, you
Bruce,
did.
Same. Willie McGinnis, Michael Robinson here. We were on the edge of our seats, guys. It's probably not as bad as David Carr and the rest of the Carr family. He's going to come in a few and talk about his glass case of emotion. But what was your biggest takeaway, Willie, from what we saw in Vegas?
Well, Darren Waller, he's a beast. The birthday boy showed out, and we know he's one of the best in the league. But the supporting cast for the Raiders, when you look at the offensive line, 4 new starters. Josh Jacobs had 2 touchdowns. You had Edwards, you had Winfro, you had Ruggs, you had Zay Jones. You had a lot of players on that offensive side of the ball stepping up and making plays when they needed to. When you look at the Raiders and what they did, they spreaded the ball around. They gave a lot of guys opportunities. All these guys stepped up, and they didn't make any excuses for who were there or who was not there. So things are looking up, Mike Rob, for the Raiders offensively. We just saw a small sample size of how good they really can be.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even see Henry Ruggs get going. We didn't see a lot of the other weapons that they have continue to get going. But you're absolutely right. The supporting cast stepped up in a huge way. That was the reason why. That was a big part of the reason why they were able to get the win. But for me, man, the MVP of this game had to be this defense. I know in the past we've talked negatively about this Raiders defense, man, but they showed up and showed out. I'm talking about Yannick Ngakoue. I'm talking about Max Crosby, Carl Nassib. They totally abused, and I want to use this word right. They abused the Baltimore Ravens offensive line. I mean, the tackles, Alejandro Villanueva and Ronnie Stanley, oh my goodness. I know they got negative after negative after negative on their grade sheets, Willie, because they constantly allow pressure on Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, he's a guy that we talked about being better in the pocket throwing the football, and I thought he looked that last night, but he could not get comfortable for no reason. Why? Because those dogs on the other side, on that defense, on that Raiders defense, they was coming and they were hungry, and they literally disrupted the entire game plan for the Baltimore Ravens.
Absolutely. And we have to remember, that was Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
That wasn't the average quarterback. So they had to defend him with the passing game and with his legs when plays broke down. And I thought they did a phenomenal job, like you said, Mike Rob, of making big plays, being aggressive, taking their shots. making them turn the football over, which turned into points and giving the Raiders multiple opportunities. So if the Raiders can fly around, if they can hit, and if they can play like that against one of the toughest offensive players in the league, I think this defense is looking pretty solid going forward.
You saw Lamar Jackson give Max Crosby some props there towards the end. He's like, dang, man, you got me. No doubt. On the other side of the ball, though, you heard that high praise from John Gruden talking about Darren Waller, one of the best players, if not the best he's ever played. Listen, Gruden has quite a few Hall of Famers under his belt. We're talking Brett Favre here when he was a Packers offensive assistant, Jerry Rice, Tim Brown. I mean, he's also coached some of the biggest game records. Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, and John Lynch.
Wow.
So he's putting Darren Waller at the top of that list. Darren Waller, 105 receiving yards, a touchdown, 10 receptions, 10 targets. Is it time, y'all, to put Darren Waller in that top tight end category, Willie?
I think so, absolutely. And when you look at Darren Waller and how tough it is for a defender like myself to cover a guy like that, he's big, he's fast, he has great radius when you throw the ball. You see him catch the ball out of the air. He's a hand catcher, not a body catcher. He has and runs great routes. Now, the other thing that makes him so versatile and tough to deal with, they can line him up anywhere. You can line him up at the X, the Z, the true tight end, in the backfield, wherever to create those mismatches. And he's one of the fastest, biggest tight ends in the league. That is a willing blocker as well. So when you factor all those things in and all the things you can do with him, coming from an offensive-minded head coach who loves offense and who loves scoring and the explosive plays, Gruden is right on point when he's talking about one of the best he's ever coached, Mike.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Willie. And I think he's the biggest mismatch in the National Football League and maybe the biggest mismatch that Coach Gruden has ever coached. He's a big wide receiver. Let's just be honest with it. And I'm glad you said he's a willing blocker because that's what he is. He's a willing blocker. He's not necessarily excellent at it. That's why I don't put him as the best tight end in the National Football League. To me, that goes to George Kittle because George Kittle is a force in the run game as well. But when you talk about big, Willie, 6'6", 240 pounds and can run a 4.40. I mean, I don't know many cornerbacks that can stay with a guy like that. So, yeah, from a mismatch standpoint, he may be a matchup nightmare for anybody in the National Football League.
And the Raiders heading to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers in Week 2. That is our TA game of the week. But first, David Carr will join us a little later to break down his brother's game-winning touchdown.
3 receivers.